Happy Aloha Friday and welcome to June, surfers, beachgoers. We're heading out there into the water. We're going to start with the large upper air currents known as the jet stream. Features about 30,000 feet up, the upper atmosphere. Do impart energy, especially when you see these deeper purples. Impart energy towards the surface and get spinners going here counterclockwise. And whenever they're really split like this, it hurts getting any surface low development. And we do have some troughiness around the islands. I'll get to the weather later. And high pressures are going to be dominating for the next 7 days. Let's start the animation. You can see what happens. This elongates and goes zonal or west to east. Low pressure up here in the Gulf gets some spinner, but we're not hoping for very much more than 2.5 foot northwest this week. And if you can see Wednesday the 6th of next week, it's very zonal and very weak. These winds of 110 knots are not quite enough, again, to transfer that energy down the surface. However, this guy does. And we'll actually be looking at a really fun 4 foot. At this point, Model Fantasy is pointing to a 4 foot northwester, filling in more like about Monday and peaking Tuesday at a solid 4 feet. And we'll roll them out. You can see, again, not too bad for June. This is out about a week right here. That's quite a bit of energy. So here's what the jet stream can help to spawn at the surface. This guy off of Kamchatka here doing pretty good. The track isn't good. It's northeast into the Bering Sea. However, there was enough fetch, if I bring these back right here on the southwest flank, to bring us up some waves this Wednesday from the north-northwest. And this one's going to be about, 2.5 feet or waist to chest high into Thursday. And we might get some reinforcement since the system was fairly broad. Then it kind of goes zonal. You can see a little bit of a zonal fetch here. It might keep us from going Mill Pond flat. It does quiet down for 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. But then, right off the Kurils, we get a spinner right here, which is actually going to end up being better than the first one. And this one, the models are forecasting about a 2 to 4 foot northwest swell. Filling in Monday the 11th, peaking Tuesday the 12th, and then fading from there. And with the south swells on the way, we should spread out the crowds pretty good. So, surface winds looking good. And here, we are just looking at the surface winds. And now these are the swells in the open ocean created by those surface winds. So, here's the storm we're looking at. You can tell just 20-foot seas, and it stays quite a ways away from us. Again, rolling the animations, do see those seas get up to 30 feet. The winds actually were pretty good, up to a severe gale. And that's why the forerunners Tuesday, the 5th, are going to be long periods. And there should be about 1.5 feet of swell, 14 seconds from the north-northwest on Wednesday, and holding about waist to shoulder high, waist chest high through Thursday from that guy right there. Then keep us up in the 10-second category. Going quiet for 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, the swell machine quiets down. And then by Thursday, Friday, the 8th, we get a fun little pulse producing some 4 foot northwest. And that's about touching the date line there. So it gets a little bit closer and it's just a little bit better track. And this will be the third event of June. Let's take a look at the swell periods. Yes, and all these purples, these are all coming. This is the Tasman Sea swell that started out with those 20 to 22 second forerunners. Again, clearly it's already peaked and passed us. Here we are here at about 160 west. 20 north, and starting in the animations, we are not done from the Tasman Sea. Take a look. Boom. That's pumping us up. Sunday, Monday, these are just forerunners. I'll get to the south swell in a bit, but it is quite distracting, isn't it? The red versus these yellows from that softer storm I was pointing to. Well, that is going to make its way down. Swells do not cancel each other out, and so the southwest swell is not going to hurt the north-northwest that's coming on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of the upcoming week. Continuing the animations, you can see a little bit of a follow-up, that softer swell that we're talking about, and here's that last one. And this is Saturday the 9th, as we're buried under tons of south swell here. We're also going to be getting some northwest swell there. So we're living in paradise. May not be Karamas, though. Okay, super quick little hindcasting going back over a week. You can see that big high pressure sitting right to the north of us, and that's led to plenty trade wind swell, have brought in plenty 4 foot days out there at Sandy's and Makapu'u, and the North Pack has been quieter and quieter, but still we've had moments where we've been able to get some of these fun northwest swells keeping it rideable, as well as some trade wind wraparound from these fetches you see here coming off of the west coast trying to make its way over. So we're getting our trade wind swells from the upstream and locally driven wind waves. Okay, let's go to the land down under. The jet stream down there, yep, they've got one. These move around the entire planet constantly, rebalancing temperatures and airflow and creating weather and waves. So the northern branches has the deeper purples, but the southern branch is the one we like, especially when it does what it's doing right here, is pointing up towards us. That's a meridional flow. Whenever it goes west to east straight, that's a zonal flow. That means that the storms that are steered by the jet, they pass out of our swell window rather quickly. When they point up, the storms fetch are allowed full development to reach their full potential. Now, starting in the animation, you can see that northern branch remains dominant. The southern branch pretty broad though, and there's just a lot more energy down there, as you can tell, compared to how it was. And thus we are into an active summer so far, with 3 events by the middle of the month. Okay, we're going to do a little hindcasting going back to Thursday the 24th. Here's that beast that brought in the 20 to 25 foot surf for that historic session, Tavarua. I have posted the comparison from Ramon's to Makua's, and see if you think what I think. Both of them beasts, but it sure looks like Makua's was nastier and just a notch bigger. But there's the cause of it. 2 Tasman sea storms, and moving in the animation, you get this formation right here. Now finally we're going to get out of the southwest swell angles and get it more into a south-southwest. The typical area, this is going back Monday the 28th. So this Monday, a week out, that's about how long it takes to travel the 4,000 to 5,000 miles up to us. And we'll be looking at some really fun waves. Forerunners on Sunday the 3rd, and potentially, I'd say 2 to 4 plus for the top focal reefs for Monday and even into Tuesday if we're lucky. Wave Watch 3 is forecasting near 3 feet at 14 to 15 seconds from this guy that you're looking at right here. Rolling in the animations to get a little bit of support. This will be a long-lasting event. Goes quiet for a little while, and then right up off the Ross Ice Shelf Friday, today, the 1st. Looking good for the next round of swell. This has some 35-foot seas in it and extreme winds. Bring in Storm Surf models current. Here's Friday the 1st. Take a look at that. Surface winds here showing 55 knot winds. That's storm force gales. Thus, those super long periods expected. It's followed right up by this particular storm on its heels is going to come on top of the already stirred up seas by the prior storm. Now, the second storm is not tracking as good as the first one. It's a little bit more of an east-northeast track, so it's sending a lot off to the Americas. But we'll be seeing waves from this. Wave Watch 3 is fantasizing some 20-second forerunners Friday the 8th. We'll be having some fun, solid 4-foot waves for Saturday and Sunday the 9th. And we could even see some 5-footers from, again, the combination of this guy and his second cousin right there. And the seas will act upon each other and reinforce. Rolling further. See, again, ton of energy as the jet stream was showing. And then later in the forecast, take a look at the size of that fetch right there. Now, this is enough, I'm going to say, for 15 to maybe 20 feet for Tahiti. It's just right up here, and that is such a broad, wide fetch. It's going to be an exciting June, I can tell. For us, it's a long, long way out, but we could see some 3 to 5 footers on the 15th or as early as the 14th. We'll wait and see. These long-range forecasts are definitely subject to purling. Okay, so taking a look at the swells generated by those surface winds we were looking at. The surface winds actually make it look a little bit stronger. And over time, you see a lot of area of swell down there I was pointing to. And that actually makes it look like Tahiti will not get as big. So I may have to eat my words on that. But again, these are super long range, more along the lines, if you go out past 7 days, just give it 50-50. But we always like to give a heads up because they can transpire. All right, taking a look at the swell periods, this is Friday the 1st. So we are located about 20 north, about 5 clicks above the image here. This is the next south-southwest swell I was pointing to. So right as it hits here for Sunday the 3rd, almost reaching us. And so there again, that's going to be that solid 4 foot for Monday and Tuesday. Here comes the next strong swell, bam, with longer period forerunners. Higher winds in the storms mean longer periods. Hurricane force winds of 65 knots and up are the ones that give us our 20 to 25 second periods. You're looking here at June 7th, and the forerunners here will be 20 seconds on Friday the 8th. We'll be looking at some solid 4, hopefully 5 on the 9th and 10th from this guy. Okay, hand-drawn surface charts. Take a look at those high pressures. They're actually going to be increasing too. Right now they're about 1030 millibars, and increasing up to maybe 1035 the upcoming week. High pressures staying put. We do have this, the broken red line here designates a trough. It is going to be lifting away from us, so the weather will be stabilizing. We have had more embedded trade wind showers recently because of that. It's come from an upper level spinner to our northwest, and I'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to show you the low pressure here that's bringing us up for the upcoming week. The high pressures that have been keeping our winds more easterly now and keeping those trade wind swells happening. And now we'll go from the surface all the way up to the water vapor loops, 20,000 feet up into the atmosphere. You can see a little bit of that spinner up here. And it's not down at the surface so much, but up here. But it is enough to lift the air and bring some instability, pulling in some air from the intertropical convergence zone. This is on fire, firing up some thunderstorms down here. And the intertropical convergence zones where the trades from the South Pac meet the trades from the north. Here we are. You can see the easterly flow to the lower level winds, and the upper level winds going the opposite way, affected more by the jet stream. Drilling down a little bit further, we are expecting the weather to stabilize as that area of troughiness moves out. There'll be minor variation of the trade wind speeds. All in all, though, they'll be moderate to fresh for the next 7 days, keeping the east side at 3 feet minimum. Highs are going to be about just over 85 and lows about 70. And the visible imagery, you can see it's a trip when the surface clouds and winds are moving the opposite direction. The weather is complicated and it is a trip, but forecasting waves requires that we understand the winds, and we get our surf from a combination of starting with the jet stream all the way down to the surface. Here's the base reflective loops showing quite a bit of those showers. That's all because of, again, that upper air instability. That will be decreasing over time. And finishing up here on the North Pac and South Pac, here we are living in paradise with a nice steady stream of trade winds. Drilling in a little bit further, we've had a lot of easterly tilts, but right now it's has a nice east flow in it. And then going to the land down under, which hemisphere is dominating right now. These current spinners, that 1-2 follow-up I was showing you up off the Ross Ice Shelf, and this will be pumping us up, not this weekend, but next. And that's your local swell tracker. I'll be back next weekend. Stay waxed, stay ready, stay at surfnewsnetwork.com.